In this video, I am going to explain about OSI Security Architecture. The International Telecommunication Standardization Sector recommends X.800, which is the security architecture for OSI. It defines a systematic approach and mainly focuses on the following three important areas: security attacks, security mechanism, security services. First one, security attacks. Security attack is any action that compromises the security of information owned by an organization. So, if you want to protect from security attacks, it is important to devise information security measures. We have actually a wide range of attacks, but however, we can focus on generic types of attacks like passive attack and active attacks. Passive attacks. A passive attack attempts to learn or make use of information, but it does not affect the system resources. The main goal of this type of attack is to obtain information that is being transmitted. Such type of attack is very difficult to detect because they do not involve any alteration of the data, but however, they try to, or the eavesdropper try to infer the sensitive information that can be exchanged between the two communicating parties. There are actually two types of passive attacks. One, a release of message content. For example, a telephone conversation, an electronic mail message, and a transferred file that may contain sensitive or confidential information. Here, we need to prevent an opponent from learning these contents of messages. Second one, traffic analysis. It's all about observing the pattern of the messages being exchanged between the communicating parties. The opponent here would determine the location of the communicating parties, the identity of the communicating host, and also observe the frequency and the length of messages being exchanged. So, from these information, the opponent try to infer the information, such as what type of information can be exchanged between the two communicating parties. This is a simple scenario which talks about active attack. The two communicating parties are Bob and Alice, and the opponent is Darth. Even the communicating parties exchange a simple message, it can be monitored or captured by the third party or opponent called Darth, and later he can play a replay attacks against allies. Active attacks can be subdivided into four categories: masquerade, a replay, modification of messages, denial of service. First one, masquerade. Here, one entity pretends to be another entity. That means the opponent can pretend to be the legitimate entity, which usually includes one of the other forms of active attack. For example, if a legitimate user is working on a machine or a computer, and later he leaves the terminal by opening the session and logged in also, so that a co-worker, it is possible for a co-worker that he may act as a masquerade attack. Vulnerable authentication is also one of the other factors that can trigger a masquerade attacks. A replay attack is a passive capture of data unit and its subsequent retransmission to produce unauthorized effort. For example, let you see the simple scenario. The user actually, the legitimate user is actually willing to withdraw $100 from the API server, but the message uh, like withdraw $100, it can be obtained by the attacker. Later, he can replay the message to obtain the same amount of withdraw, or he can modify the withdrawal amount also. Modification of messages. Some portion of a legitimate message is either altered, or that messages are delayed or reordered to produce an unauthorized effort. For example, a message meaning allow user A to read confidential file, which can be modified by the opponent as allow user B to read the confidential file. The user B can be the opponent or any other third party. Denial of service. It actually prevents the normal use or management of communication facilities. May have a specific target. For example, an entity may suppress all messages directed to a particular destination. Let you see the diagram. Here, there is an attacker which targets a victim computer. The attacker can control all the zombies through controller machine. The zombies are nothing but a compromised computers. So the attacker can launch denial of service attack towards a target called victim machine through the use of zombies. Security service. It actually enhances security of data processing systems and information transfers of an organization. It is mainly intended to counter security attacks. So here, using one or more security mechanisms, we can design or we can prevent different types of security attacks. For example, sensitive information like signatures of a party or dates need to be protected from disclosure, tampering, or destruction. Security service, which actually offers different services like authentication, access control, data confidentiality, data integrity, non-repudiation. Authentication means gives assurance, giving assurance that the communicating entity is the one claimed. Access control, so prevention of the unauthorized use of a resource. Data confidentiality, which is about protection of data being um, protected from any unauthorized parties. Data integrity is all about assurance that data received is as sent by an authorized entity. Non-repudiation means protection against denial by one of the parties in a communication. There are many features designed to protect or detect, prevent, or recover from a security attack. Actually, there is no single mechanism is available that will support all services required. So, if necessary, we can combine different types of security mechanisms. However, one particular element underlies many of the security mechanism is the use of cryptographic techniques. The cryptographic techniques is all about designing a complex security algorithm against different types of attacks. Right, there are various types of attacks through the use of a private, like a private key encryption algorithm or public key encryption algorithm or hash function. Many features, many techniques are available. So we can use any suitable technique for protecting sensitive information or confidential information that can be exchanged between any two communicating parties. Security mechanism, one of the security mechanism supported by the ITU is X.800. The specific security mechanism is all about focusing on encipherment, which is the process of making data unreadable to unauthorized entities by applying a cryptographic algorithm like a private key algorithm or public key algorithm. Digital signatures. It is a mathematical algorithm routinely used to validate the authenticity and the integrity of a message. Access controls. It is a security technique that regulates who or what can view or use resources in a computing environment. There are different types of users uh, available in a computer machine, like a guest administrator system, and each user is having their own privilege, but the lowest level of privilege can have the guest rule. Data integrity, it refers to the accuracy, legitimacy, and the consistency of information in a system. Thank you.